Hello and welcome. My name is Joy Poe. This is the management team and personnel plan for Worthwhile Studio. Worthwhile Studio is an art studio offering workshops and master classes, working artist spaces, and a curated gallery of local and regional artists. This studio will be in the budding Lumber Arts District of Brevard, North Carolina. In addition to student-paid workshops, Worthwhile Studio will offer free workshops to underprivileged families, battered women's groups, and homeless shelters. There will also be an educational element for artists to learn business skills. These courses will be presented to the community to seek funding for costs, supplies, advertising, and accessibility. We begin with the organizational chart for the studio. Once the studio is fully operational, there will be 36 full and part-time employees. The parameters for the equity structure are $5 million paid in capital, 10 million authorized shares, of which 5 million shares have been issued at the price of $1 per share. The founder and co-founder together will own 50% of the company shares, and investors will own 35% of the shares, and the founding directors will own 15% of the shares. The next few slides will show my rationale for why I've divided the equity pie. I retained a slightly larger share in order to maintain a reasonable amount of control over the choices in the business. Investors of Worthwhile Studio will have a keen interest in seeing the Arts District of Brevard grow and thrive. Each investor will be on the board of directors. 5% will go to the 3 other members of the founding team, including the studio director, marketing director, and the finance director. They will also be on the board of directors. The personnel plan obviously will include myself and the co-founder, but I'd like to go a little more in depth and introduce the employees and their roles. Until the studio is fully up and running, I will be the creative director and oversee the marketing and the studio and gallery programming. The co-founder will be directing operations, specifically day-to-day gallery functions, the finances, and eventually the development. The studio director coordinates the workshop schedule, directs and assists visiting artists with course materials, and manages the studio. The administrative assistant supports the studio team in administrative tasks. The visiting artists are responsible for workshop content and delivering artwork to the gallery for exhibition. The studio assistants support the visiting artists during workshops by attending to students and helping with setup and breakdown. The finance director sets the company budget and manages the overall financial picture of Worthwhile Studio. The accountant prepares and examines financial information for tax purposes. The bookkeeper is responsible for accounts across all departments. The contracts administrator clerk is responsible for contracts with employees, artists, and workshop attendees. The development director manages and develops fundraising campaigns. The community manager is the friendly face of fundraising for the studio, participates in fundraising events and social marketing campaigns. The development coordinator ensures fundraising campaigns run smoothly, and the administrative assistant aids and supports the development team in administrative tasks. The marketing director creates and directs marketing campaigns in order to encourage workshop and exhibition attendance and promote prestige among the visiting artists. The social media marketing manager promotes the studio through social media and upholds the brand authenticity. And the graphic designer develops visual media to inspire and connect the studio to potential attendees, artists, and employees. The website designer creates and maintains a clean website that's user-friendly and inspiring. And the marketing assistant supports the marketing team in administrative tasks. The gallery director curates art events, seeks out potential artists, and creates a dynamic and engaging gallery space. The retail gallery sales manager maintains inventory, aids the director in gallery dynamics, and educates and inspires the retail professionals. The administrative assistant supports the gallery staff with administrative tasks, and the retail professionals welcome the guests, help them with purchases, and educate visitors about gallery artists and the workshops. Next, we'll move on to the personnel financials. Part-time employee numbers are based on a 20-hour work week. Highest paid salary is for the development director at $108,000. Monthly cost of the studio personnel will be at $155,560, bringing the yearly cost to $1,868,160. At which point I take a deep breath and remember that this is still a hypothetical business. I'd like to introduce some of my hypothetical key players in the worthwhile studio. At the top, you will find the job title, a job description, salary, whether this person holds equity, qualifications and soft skills, and whether this person has a managerial role. We begin with the co-founder, Leslie Logeman, the market manager for the Transylvania Farmers Market and gallery director of the Hain Gallery in Brevard. She has significant management experience in for-profit and nonprofit organizations and was recently named as a Main Street champion for the state of North Carolina. She would be a fantastic co-founder. Next up is the studio director. I've chosen Kristen Necessary. She's a printmaker and owner of Star-Spangled Press. She received her master's from Virginia Commonwealth University and has experience in both teaching and planning workshops. She also has significant social capital from her connection to VCU. The director of finance I've chosen is Kevin Jones. He's a financial advisor for Smith Barney. He worked 32 years in marketing and has been financial advisor through SCORE to several successful businesses such as Acosta Brewing. At startup, someone such as Kevin would be helpful as he might be interested in offering his expertise as an investor. I interviewed Joe Castro as my development director. He's the executive director of Smart Start in Brevard, North Carolina, and a mentor for SCORE. We discussed the qualities needed in a development director, including the passion for the mission, outgoing, bold, and willing to and able to solicit funds on behalf of the studio. Next up is the community manager. I've chosen Jessica Carson. She's a freelance social media marketer at Twisted Sun Studios. With a background in hospitality, Jessica would be ideal for this position because she knows how to present herself to the public and she has a love of the arts. For the development coordinator, I've chosen Sarah Kip Carson. She's an event planner and entrepreneur with Wildflower Events. She also works for Florescence Flowers, a high-end florist in Brevard. She's organized, outgoing, detailed, and great at problem-solving on the go. For my marketing director, I've interviewed Joan Van Orman. She is a freelance marketer for photographers and creative businesses. She has a history of entrepreneurship, having owned a gallery in Brevard, and she is passionate about the visual arts. Again, the social media marketing manager position will be held by Jessica Carson until further hiring. She'll be doing double duty with the previous marketing in development. At startup, the graphic designer position will be held by me. I will collaborate with Sale Park of Spark Media Collective, and when the requirements for the position exceed my skill, we'll hire a graphic designer. At startup, the website designer will be Sale Park of Spark Media Collective. He's a website designer and serial entrepreneur. Eventually, we'll hire a full-time website designer with his help. For the position of gallery and exhibitions director, I spoke with Ed Carroll, the director of SCORE in Brevard. He's a retired serial entrepreneur, having owned retail stores and restaurants. The gallery will be the bread and butter of Worthwhile Studios, so Ed and I discussed the importance of hiring an experienced salesperson who has passion for sales and with working with artists. And finally, there's the retail gallery sales manager. I interviewed a soon-to-be college grad named Tom Ruppel. He will graduate with a major in art and business. He came to me with the intention of being a studio assistant, but as we spoke, I began to envision him in this role as sales manager because of the dual major he had. I'd like to talk about hiring rounds. Here you are looking at the founding team. There's the founder, the co-founder, studio director, finance director, and marketing director. For the first round of hiring, the studio director will hire visiting artists for teaching master classes and workshops. The financial advisor will hire a bookkeeper and a contracts administrator clerk. The marketing director will hire a social media marketing manager and a website designer. And the co-founder will hire a retail gallery sales manager and retail professionals. During the second round of hiring, the studio director will hire administrative assistants and studio assistants. The finance director will hire an accountant who will likely still be on retainer rather than in-house. The founding team together will hire a development director, and they will also hire a development coordinator. The marketing director will hire a graphic designer, and the co-founder will be ready to turn over the gallery and exhibitions director position to a new director. In the third round of hiring, the development team, the marketing team, and the gallery team will finish filling out their departments with administrators. Given the difficult nature of funding a nonprofit and the relative popularity and proximity of schools in Western North Carolina, such as John C. Campbell and Penland, I feel that Worthwhile Studio would proceed better in Brevard without that hurdle of becoming a nonprofit and facing those competitions for funds. I have hopes to gain a fiscal sponsor to help fund the educational aspects of the studio, which is why I decided to have a development department, even though I'm not pursuing nonprofit. Brevard actually has an umbrella program, a fiscal sponsor. It is called the Community Focused Foundation of Transylvania County. It has a stellar record for offering their nonprofit umbrella to a wide range of community projects. In particular, CFF accepted donations on behalf of the Transylvania Farmers Market while they were working towards becoming a 501c3. Worthwhile Studio plans to approach Susan Threlkel. She's the executive director of the Community Focused Foundation to help fund the free workshops and education courses. Worthwhile Studio is a hypothetical business. However, the people assigned to these positions are all real, and they have the potential to participate in a venture such as this. I'd love to bring a business like Worthwhile Studio into the world and to see it grow and thrive with creative people. If Worthwhile Studio grows to the size of this project, my involvement will necessarily decrease as more professionals come on board to advise and grow the company. If the studio does indeed gain fiscal sponsorship, then the employees involved in development will have had time to test the waters for transitioning into a nonprofit. Within 2 to 4 years, the studio will know if competing with the likes of Penland and John C. Campbell, other organizations in Western North Carolina, could be sustained. I'll exit during the transition to nonprofit status and hopefully participate freely as an artist and teacher in the studio workings of Worthwhile Studio.